Welcome! The aim of this video is to share with you insights about building and flying RC planes that have a flying weight of under 250 grams. So first off, what is significant about a flying weight of sub 250 grams? Well, many countries have in recent years brought about regulations affecting the use of drones, which includes RC aircrafts. These regulations generally make a distinction between models that have a flying weight of sub 250 grams and those that are heavier than that. Depending on where you live, RC models that are 250 grams or heavier may need to be officially registered, and flying them may require a pilot certificate. Regulators are also working towards implementing remote ID, which is technology that will enable tracking of the model during flight. The weight of the model can also determine whether you can fly in controlled airspace or not. I live in a large urban center in Canada which has multiple airports, and in fact a significant portion of the central parts of the city are designated as controlled airspace and therefore off limits to most pilots with planes heavier than 250 grams. I should note that there are still rules about flying too close to airports and other aircraft, and practicing safe operation should always be a priority regardless of the size or weight of the aircraft. So why would one want to build and fly small planes that are under 250 grams? Well, the aforementioned regulations are one reason. Given the hefty regulations, flying models under 250 grams can be a lot simpler. You may not need to register them, have a license, or require remote ID once it potentially comes into being. You may also have more options where to fly. These aspects can make the hobby more cost-effective, less burdensome, and more enjoyable. I mentioned the regulations that can restrict where you can fly, but there are also practical considerations. Operating RC models requires space. More space is generally better if you are a novice pilot or want to operate larger and more sophisticated airplanes. I fly at a city sports field comprised of two baseball fields, and it is just large enough to accommodate my sub 250 RC models. Traveling to airfields and flying clubs is a perfectly normal part of the hobby, but access can be a limitation, especially if the fields are far away. This means that you may fly less frequently, so a sub 250 gram model is likely to get more flight time. Flying smaller and lighter models can also be less intimidating, especially for the newbie. There is less at stake, as smaller planes tend to be less costly. They are also less likely to cause damage or hurt someone should they crash. Smaller planes are also generally easier to repair or replace in the event of a crash. Whether you build them or purchase ready-to-fly models, smaller planes are generally less expensive, less material needed, and less expensive parts including motors, batteries, ESCs, servos, and so on. If you build your planes, then with sub 50 gram models, you can also get away with a relatively modest work area, which may even comprise of an office desk. Building large models generally requires a workshop. So as you can see, sub 250 gram RC planes have a lot going for them, especially if you are new to the hobby or wish to enjoy the hobby more casually. But we should note some of the caveats also. Smaller and lighter planes do have some limitations. They generally require better flying conditions. Of course, it depends on the plane design, but from my experience, winds over 20 kilometers per hour start to become a challenge to fly in. Stabilization technologies such as AS3X do help to decrease the effects of external disturbances such as wind, but they can also decrease the performance of a plane in the case of acrobatics or 3D planes. Smaller planes are also harder to see in the sky. Smaller planes can fly as fast as larger ones and cover the same distances, yet when they fly further, they quickly start to look like a mark in the sky. Most flying field surfaces are covered in grass, so landings and takeoffs become more challenging as the plane gets smaller and the wheels get stuck in the grass. Nevertheless, a model around 250 grams can be very capable of handling grass as seen in the video. The 250 gram weight limit may also limit the application and use of systems such as retracts, cameras, or FPV, which all add precious grams, so you won't have such a fancy plane. You will also most likely not be able to experience the excitement of building and flying scale or more advanced models. So in summary, there are many advantages to building and flying sub 250 gram model planes, and it can be a great way to get into the hobby. I hope this video was helpful, and I welcome any comments. Thank you.